Welcome back to the Ignore the Template podcast, the only FPL podcast on the entire internet, hosted by me. My name is Devin, and this is the ultimate or penultimate episode of the season, depending on the way you look at it. We will record one after the final match week because I've got prizes to hand out, so I'll announce all the winners. Also, I'm going to do a little bit of a wrap-up pod. I don't imagine that one will be very long, but sometimes I think I'm going to record for 20-30 minutes and it's like 2 hours, so who knows what it will be. But on today's episode, we are going to be focusing on the final game week of the season, game week 38. It's a weird one because I think myself and a lot of people had thought that the title race was going to go until the final day, and now that it's not going to, I think the plans change a little bit. So I'm going to put my thoughts out there. The predictive quality of these thoughts, I cannot put a value on. I don't know how predictive this is going to be, or I think this week is as much of a shot in the dark for anybody as it can get, possibly. So we'll talk about all that and more. Let's jump into the episode. Let's start with how I did. And to be honest, I didn't really pay all that much attention to my performance throughout the week. I feel like I had points on the bench this week, but we'll see. This is honestly the first time I'm looking at my performance from this week. Yeah. So game week 37, I got 57 points, which was an 8-point red arrow, brings me back to 62K. Yeah. So looking at the differentials, Diouf, who I was kind of banking on West Ham doing something, it did nothing. He got 0 points. Tavernier got 2 points, although he must have come off the bench. I don't think I had him starting. Seeing as João Pedro got 0 points, that would explain that. Gabriel was my captain. He got 6 points, although across all the captaincy options, I think he was probably the worst in retrospect. Trossard got 3 points. Not ideal against Burnley, playing at home when you need to really make a statement. Or I guess you don't really, because Man City drew and then the title went to Arsenal. So yeah, but looking at the threats, there really wasn't that much. Like, this kind of like a nothing week. O'Reilly 2 points, Gyökeres 1, Cherky 1, João Pedro 0, Raya 6, but I captained Gabriel, so it's kind of the same thing. Pascal Gross got 3 and Thiago got 2. Now looking at my overall squad, Senesi had 4 points, Petrovic had 3. Yeah, I really didn't have that many points on the bench. I thought I might have had like a something or other, but that was not to be. Yeah, 57 points. I guess I probably should have gone for Petrovic and Senesi over Verbruggen and Van Hecke. I think they conceded a last minute goal. I think it was 0-0, and then they conceded a goal in like the 91st minute or something like that. So kind of a bummer, but FPL. So Verbruggen and Van Hecke each got 2 points. Diouf with 0, Gabriel 12 because I captained him. Trossard with 3, disappointing. Bruno with 9. I probably wasn't going to captain him, but the alternative was Saka, who got 10 points. There was a 4-point differential there. Yeah, whatever. Semenyo got 1 point. Tavernier got 2 because I think he came off the bench for João Pedro. Calvert-Lewin got 7, Holland got 9, so he would have been the other alternative as well. And yeah, so out of the 3, I picked the worst of the 3. And on the bench, Petrovic 3, João Pedro 0, Senesi 4, and Gehi 2. So that rounded out my week for 57 points and 62K. That's fine. I think Yeah, I think that's about fair. I feel like my entire seasons, I've just been bouncing around 50K. It's been a really challenging season this year. So if you're feeling like you haven't been able to make a lot of progress this season, there's a lot of reasons why. And I'll try to sum that up in the recap episode after Gameweek 38 plays out. Looking forward to plans because we're just going to keep this simple. I've got one free transfer. This is going to be a weird one. I'm going to sell Haaland because I kind of just don't think he's probably not going to play, right? Now that the season's over for Man City, Arsenal still have one additional match to play, the Champions League final. So that would also probably mean they're going to rest their players against Crystal Palace. Yeah, maybe I should make more. Maybe I should be taking hits, doing risky stuff, but no, I just think any player I bring in is probably going to have some level of risk of not playing, not starting. So I'm going to make my one transfer and I'm going to sell Haaland, which is probably dumb. And I'm going to bring in Bowen, who plays Leeds at home. And because it's for the memes and it's fun, and if he gets 0 points, it'll be hilarious, I'm going to captain Bowen. Why not? But the team for Gameweek 38 is as such. I'm playing a 5-3-2. Yeah. And I'm going with Verbruggen and Van Hecke again. They're playing Manchester United at home. I'm going to try to favor the at-home players because I just feel like on the final day, they're trying to give their fans something to cheer about. I don't know if that's just BS psychology nothingness that means nothing, but it's playing into my mind a little bit. So yeah, going to be favoring the home players. I could go for like Petrovic, who plays Nottingham Forest, probably a weaker team, but they're away. So I'm going to stick with Verbruggen. Not a lot in it, if I'm honest. So after that, despite the fact that he got 0 points, I'm looking forward to Malik Diouf hopefully doing something. Now, he did play, right? Surely he played. I'm pretty sure he played. Yeah, he would have had to have played because he was in the team and he got 0 points. I had people on the bench. So, no, he did play. It was because they conceded, I think it was 3. I can't remember. But this time around, they're playing Leeds at home. Leeds have been pretty poor away. West Ham have been a team at home. So I'm optimistic. Not as much to like Captain Diouf for the lulz, but yeah, I'm happy he's in the team this week. That's why I made the transfer last week. I was kind of edging on that and hoping that he would return in their penultimate week because they have to. They have to go and win and hope that Tottenham lose. The way it works out, I just read this before I jumped on the pod. If Tottenham draw, West Ham need a 12 goal difference to not get relegated. So if Tottenham win or draw, West Ham are done. They need Tottenham to lose against Everton, and they're playing at home. Tottenham are playing at home. So it's very unlikely, but West Ham are going to have to put it all out on the table. And I'm hoping Diouf gets some sort of attacking return. That would be great. Still going to stick with Gabriel, despite the fact they won the league. They're probably going to be resting players. I think Gabriel is still going to start, although I'm not very confident about that. Maybe Arteta feels that they really need a rest ahead of the Champions League final. Maybe they feel they need to keep their players sharp. It's a bit of a crapshoot. Mark Gehi, I do think will play, even though Man City are no longer in the title race. I think he's probably the most secure of the Man City players. Like I could even see O'Reilly getting benched, but Mark Gehi, I would imagine, is more likely to start. Again, what is this based on? I don't know. But that's what my intuition is telling me. Senesi playing Nottingham Forest away. I like that for the defensive contributions. Are they going to keep a clean sheet? Who knows? Maybe. They have been really good, and I've been sleeping on my Bournemouth players that I brought in for a reason, and then just like have not played for fixture difficulty reasons, but they're good against anybody. And Areola is wanting to go out with a bang. Maybe he's on the shortlist for Liverpool. Who knows? But yeah, this is making me think maybe I do something weird and play Tavernier over Saka, because what if Saka's benched? I mean, that would be an easy benching. You know what? I'm going to do it. Even if it's for the memes. Saka, you're benched. Tavernier, you're in against Nottingham Forest away. Not ideal, but whatever. Okay, so I went through Senesi. Those are the 5 defenders. I'm playing a 5 defender formation on the final day, which is pretty notorious for getting a lot of goals. I don't know what I'm doing. Bruno Fernandes against Brighton away. I think that's fine. As I just mentioned, I swapped Tavernier in for Saka. I'm going to keep Semenyo in just because I don't really have anybody else to go to. If I had an extra transfer, which I've got a lot of money in the bank, could I bring in Salah? I don't think I have that much money. No, I do. Ooh. Do I take a hit to bring in Salah for his final match against Brentford at home? I am actually tempted. So while I may not do this at the time of recording, that is going to be on my mind. So stay tuned. If you want to see my final lineup, reach out on Discord. Hopefully I'll have the final lineup on Discord ahead of time, but if I don't, just give me a shout. But for now, I'm not taking the hit. I'm just going to play Semenyo. But just imagine Mohamed Salah just right in that position, because it just feels kismet. Goes out with a couple of goals. That would be amazing, but that's probably not going to happen. Elsewhere in the forward line, Calvert-Lewin playing against West Ham away. Again, not ideal because I've got a West Ham defender, but again, I'm lacking players. If I had 2 or 3 transfers, I'd make them, but this team was set up so that the title would be hopefully going till the final day, and it didn't. So basically, 6 of my players are now... Yes, 6 of the players that I did have, because if before I sell, I would have Gehi, Semenyo, Holland, Gabriel, Trossard, and Saka potentially would be playing for the title on the final day. Like, they would 100% be playing. Now that it's done, the rotation risk is pretty heavy, I would think. So yeah, Calvert-Lewin, and then Bowen captain. Although if I do bring in Salah, I may be tempted to captain him. Not based on logic or stats, but that's a vibe pick. And sometimes you got to go that way. On the bench would be Petrovic against Nottingham Forest away, Saka against Crystal Palace away, João Pedro against Sunderland away, Trossard against Crystal Palace away. I think that team is not inspiring for the final day, but again, you play the way that you think it's going to lay out, and it didn't go that way. So now I've got a lot of players that are huge rotation risks for obvious reasons. Champions League final and season's over, and Man City have plenty of players that can swap in for these guys, so who knows. I just realized I have not shown the screen at all, and you've just been looking at my face. Am I going to re-record all of this? I don't think so. Let's do a very quick review. Live FPL. For the YouTube folks, here's what my team looks like. -8. Oh my God. Absolute blunder. Bigger fumble than Richard Hughes. Oh, okay. So yeah, live FPL, you can see this is how that went. And then here is the team that I'm looking at for potential Gameweek 38. Yeah. Can't believe I've just had the camera on my face this entire time. Nobody wants to see that. Okay, now let's take a look at how the scout versus scout team did, because we're running through this stuff. And oh, really quick, just out of nowhere, I guess, the stats are updated. So if you're not loving the vibe random picks that I'm throwing out there, the stats are available on the Airtable for free. You can go ahead and take a look at that. I don't know how helpful they'll be because a lot of the context is going to be very important this week. As I always say, statistics are important in the context that they're put in. So the context, obviously, this week with teams on the beach, I don't know how impactful that will be for them, particularly for Arsenal and Man City. But a lot of people have these players. I think at the bare minimum, the rotation risk goes up. So if you want to balance that with, maybe going for players who have lower expected point total, but their rotation risk is lower, I think that's a fair move. Like, I think going for Haaland, swapping him out for Bowen, I think you can see the logic. Haaland, his rotation, while he is an amazing player, he's going to be playing at home against Aston Villa. The rotation risk has to be higher than it normally is because they're playing for nothing. Meanwhile, Bowen's going to be playing. Even if he has a broken leg, they're going to strap that thing together. He's going to have a mechanical leg, and he will be playing at home against Leeds, because if he doesn't play, they're almost certain to be relegated. If they win, they have a chance. But yeah, that's my thought process on that. So check out the error table. The data is updated through Gameweek 37. Let me just rename this so that it is clear, but it is true. I just forgot to rename it. So all the data here are updated through Gameweek 37. Okay, now let's take a look. Finally, we're going to go take a look at how the Scout versus Scout team did. Now that we're actually on the screen and you could see it, this was the team that I went with last week. Let's add up the totals and see how it did in comparison to the official FPL Scout. The tallies are in, and it's a 1 point difference. My team did worse, and there was not a whole lot in it. Basically, like, we had a lot of the same players that returned, like Saka, Bruno, and Haaland. We each had Gabriel. I had Saliba, who returned, got 8 points. They didn't have anybody else, but some of their other players did a little bit better, and they captained Saka. That's basically what it came to. So it was 61 points, my team, to 62 points for the official FPL Scout team, which means I lose, which means I got to pay up for whoever is the mini league leader of Gameweek 37. So we'll refer to that. But final thoughts on the free hit for Gameweek 37 competition. It was bad. It was not good. Both of our teams were absolutely rotten. Like, if you just took a look at some of the highest scoring players of the game week, it wasn't super expected. I think the players that each of our teams had were probably more likely to get points than the players that actually got the points in Game Week 37. It's just a random variance week. So hopefully the data supports my team going into the final Scout versus Scout competition. But let's take a look at who won the competition this week and who I will be paying out to. And the winner, and it would have looked better if I had any editing skills to like have the snap and then flip to this screen. But according to FPL Game Week, we have a winner, Victor Ribeiro. Hopefully I pronounced that correct. Also, my vision is horrible and the font is a little tiny. For my old man eyes, let's pump this up a little bit. Victor Ribeiro. I think Ribeiro is probably how it's pronounced. But yes, you captained Saka and you played your second bench boost and you got 91 points, which was enough to be the mini league leader for Gaming 37. Geez. Yeah, pretty solid team. Let's take a look at where else you got your points. I mean, Saka captain was right there, and it was one of those things where I just felt like it was going to be a low scoring game, and it was. And when I captained Gabriel, I was thinking, oh, you know what, maybe there's a probability if there's 1 or 2 goals that Gabriel gets on it. He just really has fallen off on his attacking return. So maybe I should have just gone for a Saka, be a little bit more progressive with it. But Yes. So taking a look at your team, you had Raya, Gabrielle, Bruno, Szoboszlai with 9 points. Very nice. Holland, 9 points. Ooh, Darlow on the bench with 11. Although I guess you can't play 2 goalkeepers. Otherwise, you probably would have. But yeah, good job. Hit me up on Discord or Reddit and we will confirm that you are your team, and I'll pay out the $10 through Cash App or PayPal, depending on what works best. And let's take a look at what I'm throwing together for the final free hit competition, Scout versus Scout thing. And the ads are back. I apologize. I'm on FPL.team, and for some reason this used to, maybe I can actually close it. I can, yeah. Sorry for the Lunchables ad. I do not support Lunchables, but yeah, Gameweek 37 data is out of the window for the free hit competition. I am going for players who primarily are playing at home and have something to play for, because if you were to run the data through the algorithm, which is typically what I have done throughout the season, and it's been fairly effective. I feel like on average we've done a lot better than the official FPL Scout team, which is not a lot, but yeah, for this week and this week only, I'm not even going to look at the algorithm team. I can read it out very quickly. The algorithm team, for anybody who's interested, would be Hermansen, Gabrielle, Gehi, Senesi, Tarkovsky, Truffert, Bruno Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez, Palmer, Holland, and João Pedro. João Pedro with a slight knock, so maybe you could flip that to anybody else. Probably Bowen. I'm assuming it's all going to be affordable because you can afford everyone in this season's FPL. But the team I'm going to go with is very, very different. So my logic here is purely, like I said, players that have something to play for, i.e. West Ham, they're fighting relegation, Tottenham fighting relegation. Both their fixtures are at home and relatively winnable, I would say. Second is having some constants in there. So Bruno Fernandes, he's going to be, did he already break the assist record? I hate to hear that, but whether he has or he hasn't, he's going to be either going for the record or trying to extend the record. So expect him to be passing the ball a lot, and being the focal point as he is for Manchester United. Believe it or not, Liverpool have something to play for. They could there's a very small probability that they lose by a large margin at home. And I can't remember who's up. Is it Brighton or Bournemouth? I think it's Bournemouth. Bournemouth would have to go and have a big win against Nottingham Forest, and Liverpool would have to have a big loss, and they could technically fall out of Champions League places. They also could be in fourth, which they're currently fifth. Liverpool could go up to fourth, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but I think it's a little bit more money. And yeah, and in order for that to happen, Liverpool would have to win, Aston Villa would have to lose. That's pretty simple. And that's basically where I put the team together. I also have Anderson from Nottingham Forest. I think it's a good home fixture for them. Not really sure what they're playing for. I don't even know if maybe I had some other thoughts on that player. You know what? For the memes, it's not even a meme. Szoboszlai, that's fine, because I feel like, yeah, everybody else is kind of spoken for. I like that final home fixture for Mohamed Salah. So again, I don't even think I read through the team, but here's the team for the audio only guys. Hermansen in goal, Pedro Porro, Diouf, Gabrielle, Van de Ven, Bruno Fernandes, Gakpo, Szoboszlai, Mohamed Salah, captained. Who knows if he'll even play? He'll definitely come on. Will he start? Not entirely sure. I would hope that he would start as a Liverpool fan, as a Mohamed Salah fan. I would hope that he would start. Richarlison in the forward line with Bowen, and that's going to be the team. Funnily enough, I put this team together before I was able to see the official FPL Scout team put out their team, but I do have their team, so I can pull that up and compare side by side. I think it's kind of a crapshoot this week, as I've said, because there's going to be far more instances of random nonsense this week than probably any other week. And also with like teams not having things to play for, even more so this week, it's going to be a weird one. So let's take a look at their team. I like the look of this team. It's not obviously data led or based on a whole lot of logic, but it's fun. And there are some reasons why we would pick players from Tottenham and West Ham this week and this week only. And this is the scout selection team in terrible resolution, but they're going with Nick Pope, O'Reilly, who I think has a high probability of getting rotated, Pedro Porro, Mukiele against Chelsea at home. I love Mukiele, but probably not the best fixture for him. Bruno Fernandes, Gibbs White, I think that's fine. I think him or Anderson probably have a good shot this week. Anderson's been on fire, by the way, FPL wise. They've got Szoboszlai. They're going with Bruno G against Fulham away. Again, not sure about having Newcastle players. They're captaining Holland. I'm not 100% convinced he'll be starting. They're going with Bowen and Richarlison. So a lot of the same players, but the ones that they do have that are different, I'm throwing big question marks on. And Holland, while if he starts and plays, he's an amazing pick. Aston Villa have just won the Europa League. They're going to be chilling. They've got Champions League all wrapped up. They're not playing for anything. It's away from home for them. Maybe that is the better call, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I feel like I'm less confident about their picks just because some of them feel random for random's sake. But that tends to be how it is for the official FPL scout team. What can I say? And that's, I think, going to do it for this week. Honestly, there's really not a whole lot I can provide because, like I said near the top of the video, the predictive quality of this or anyone's podcast revolving around FPL, I think is going to have major limitations, as we call it in the biz. So yeah, take everything with a grain of salt, not just my content this week, but anyone's content. I think this week, more so than any, is probably going to have more elements of randomness, and that is going to lead to some chaos, but chaos, I guess it's more fun in some ways. And yeah, it kind of sucks as a statistician to see a bunch of random stuff, but yeah, I think I'll have a lot of final thoughts after the final game week wraps up. But if you are in a similar spot to me and feeling like a little happy that the season is finally coming to an end, the FPL season that is, gearing up for the World Cup. But yeah, we'll have that final wrap-up video / podcast. So if you are interested in hearing some thoughts, stay tuned for that. And then near the beginning of next season, I'll be putting out my podcast that is going to outline everything about how FPL can be improved. I put out a podcast last year about the same subject. Some of the same themes are going to come up because a lot of the same things are just, they've been broken for several years. Definitely have some new ideas though. So I'm going to be putting a lot of work into that on the off season. I've got a whole piece of paper with lots of notes on it. So I'll be more prepared than I typically am for any podcast, but subscribe and like for all of that good stuff so that you'll be notified when it comes. And I will see you after Game Week 38 to wrap up. Have a good one. Good luck. I'll see you then.